Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy, the Strongest Wizard, and today we're back here with another One Piece video. And this time around, y'all, we're going to be talking about the most underrated deck in OP11, and that's actually going to be Blue and Yellow Nami, a deck that I think is insane, and I've been testing a lot, and I think it's really, really good. I think there's a lot of really great things about it. I think there's a couple of little glaring issues with the deck, which we will get into all of that. So, in case you guys don't know what this leader does, it's a blue and yellow leader, 5,000 power, 4 life. On your turn, once per turn, if you or your opponent takes a life or removes a life, so essentially it has to be removed from your stack or your opponent's stack, and you have 7 or less cards in your hand, you get to draw 1 card. Now, a lot of people mistake this for needing to have a Dawn attached to your leader. That is incorrect. That does not have to be the case at all. As long as your opponent takes a life or you take a life, or you remove a life from either side, you get to draw the 1 as long as you have 7 or less cards. Now, the second effect, which is quite insane or quite really good, is when your leader has 1 Dawn attached to it and it's your opponent's turn. When they are attacking once per turn, you can pitch a card, 1 card, any card from your hand, and your leader becomes 7,000 power for the turn. I know, it's kind of ridiculous. I don't understand. When the leader got first announced in Asia, we saw the Japanese text on it. We saw the translations. I was like, wait, this card's just broken, right? Like, there's just no way this leader is just insane. I literally messaged all my friends. I was like, guys, this deck's crazy. Tier 1 broken. That is not the case at all. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but we're here to talk about it. This ability allows you to run a lot more bricks than most decks, and that's just because any card technically in your hand is a 2k counter, which is really, really good. Now that is once per turn, so if you have 7 bricks in your hand and you pitch 1 card, well, not all dead cards in your hand are 2k, right? It's just the 1, so it's the once per turn. Now, I have been cooking a list that I'm actually very, very proud of, and that's actually going to be this list right here. Wrong list. That's a spoiler. Yeah, so we are on eggmanevents.com right now, where I built this deck, and this is the deck that I've been running a lot. Now, normally for all my Decklist videos, I used to do the physical ones. This one is a bit different. The main reason why I'm doing digital for this one is because there's so many variations of this leader that you can do, and it's really, really fun and cool to see. So essentially what I did is I found the list that got 2nd or 3rd in Japan or in Asia. I'm not too sure exactly where in Asia that was, but I found their list and I said, okay, we don't have Odin yet. We don't have a couple of cards. What can we do to make this, work? And I've been slowly adding, removing cards, taking a lot of different people's opinions, and this is where I came up. This is my 50. And we can talk about it, right? We're gonna go through each card and talk about exactly the decisions that I made for each one. So from the very top, we're running 2 Kaya. Main reason why I'm running Kaya kind of feels a little useless or pointless to a lot of people. Not only the fact that it's a 2k counter, which is always very nice, 2k counter, the cycle is extremely good. I mentioned earlier that we have a lot of dead cards in our deck. This helps us cycle. Also, the 1-cost character on the board allows us and helps us to bring that card back to our hand whenever we really need to, and sometimes we need a quote-unquote like dead card on the board to bring back to our hand. A little bit more about that later. Next card is we have 1-cost blocker law. It's just a 1-cost 1k power, no counter. It's a 1-cost blocker. It's really, really good. A lot of decks can't answer it, and if they do, it's just really annoying for them to do so. So I used to run it at 4 of, but I realized it's just it's a lot, and there's a lot of tech that you need to counter for this deck, right? So the law, we kept it at 2. Next is Shirahoshi. Now, a lot of people like to cut this card because it's kind of useless, kind of. It's a 2-cost, 0 power, 1k counter. 1k counter is important. What's really nice about this card is, other than the fact that it's a blocker, is that if this card were to be removed or KO'd off the board, KO'd, not removed. If it were to be KO'd off the board, you get to heal 1. Now, this actually is quite relevant, not as relevant as it used to be, with BY and all that really good stuff. Lucci, as much Lucci in the meta now, but before it was actually really good. And I still really like it now. 1k counter in your hand makes it really good. So you pitch a dead card from your hand, you literally become 7k, and then you can pitch one additional card to become 8k, right, for that battle, which is really, really good. A lot of people like to swing 7 at you, which is the minimum they can usually swing at you, and then you just give them 1 card. So the fact that we run 4 of, it's a very easy pitch. At the same time, if we need to try to slow down the game, it's very, very important to do so. Shirahoshi actually helps with that. Now, next card is we have 4 copies of 2-cost Hiyori. I think this card is insane in this deck. Obviously, the 2k counter, which we've talked about, 2k counter is really good. But on play, you're actually able to swap the top or the bottom life. You add that card to your hand, and then you put another card from your hand to the top of your life. Now, this is really, really important. You have a lot of really great cards that you can set up in your life, and there's a lot of decks that can kind of pivot or make them a lot more trigger happy. I don't like to kind of play with that version of the deck. I feel like it's just really luck based, and a lot of people are like, well, it's not luck based if you're always setting up your life. Well, yes, that's true, but at the same time, it's like, and then I have to rely on Hiyori, and then if I have all these trigger happy cards in my hand, what are we even doing here? Like, why am I? That isn't, I don't know, that doesn't make the most sense to me. But this is how I like to play the deck. I'm running the 2-cost Hiyori 1 to set up a couple cards that I have in this deck, as well as I like to, in case we are down bad, we actually use it for the draw. So we can set something up. We also kind of fake out our opponent, saying, hey, we're going to put this bomb in our life. If you want to swing into it, you can. When in actuality, it's just a 1-cost law. But the important part is that we are removing a card out of our life, which allows us to trigger the Nami effect, which will allow us to draw a card. Very, very strong. This deck is all about draw power. And we're going to talk about other cards you can possibly run as well in this deck. But yeah, having that option, that flexibility is really, really important. Next cards, we have 2 costs of Nojiko. I'm running 4 copies of this card. It's 1k counter. It's broken. I don't know. I think a lot of people are cutting this card as well. 5 costs and under characters are a little less relevant, which I do agree with in the meta right now. But I still think it's insane. People still setting up blockers. People still setting up their boards early in the game, and setting up a Nojiko early on to just kind of slow down your opponents, like all of their board state, just slowing down their game is so huge, especially when we have cards like upcoming Pudding. Pudding is really good. But after Pudding, after Nojiko, we got Zeus. 2-cost Zeus. This removes a 5-cost or lower character on the board in exchange of taking your own life. Not only are we relieving pressure, we are also removing the board, on top of the fact that we are able to take a card, so we're essentially drawing a card out of our life, as well as drawing a card off of Nami effect, like draw to pop something. That is so good. Running 4 copies of that, we have Pudding, which I mentioned before. The card literally destroys half of the meta, at least 60-70% of the meta. Super good. We're running at 4 copies. I had it at 3 originally, but I thought 4 was the sweet spot. Whenever I needed the 4th copy, or I was missing Pudding and I was only running 3, I would be very, very upset. I'm like, why is this happening to me? What is 3 not enough? I guess not. So worst case scenario, it's a 1k counter out of hand, which is really good. 4 copies of Nojiko for the high roll baby, as well as the Hiyori. You'll love to see it. The card is actually really good. Establishing a board early to mid game, a character that's very, very sticky that a lot of people don't want to get rid of, even though majority of the time they probably should, is really, really important to close out games, which is sometimes can be Nami's like hardest thing to do. Sometimes it really all depends. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Next card is a card that I'm very proud of. There were a couple decks that were running it in Asia, and I adopted this card very, very early in my deck. I think this card's insane because oftentimes we talk about certain curves and certain decks. This card allows us to say, you know what? I don't care about going first or second. I'll do it. That's 5-cost Katakuri, 6,000 power, 1k counter, super strong 1k counter. It's a blocker. And what's really good is that activate main once per turn. You get to reveal the top card of your deck, turn it face up. I'm sorry, not your deck. That'd be crazy. Reveal the top card of your life, and then you attach a rested Dawn to a character or leader. This is really, really strong. So obviously with Nami's effect, this requires us to have one Dawn attached to our leader, so that our leader becomes 7k on our opponent's turn. This allows it so that this ability is essentially always on. And a lot of times, a lot of people like to kind of play around this card. What I mean is that if I use that character's effect, I flip up my my life face up, and they choose not to attack, or they go for board instead, and they're like, ha ha ha, you cannot use Katakuri's effect again because your character, your life card, your top of your life card, it's actually face up, so you can't do it twice. The card requires you to turn the card face up in order for you to get a rested Dawn. Well, joke's on you, I got cards like Hiyori as well as Zeus in my deck to change the game, man. So very, very good card. It helps us with any type of first or second. And with this card, I actually like to go first in this deck. More about that later. 6 cost Lin Lin. We're running 2 copies of this card. I used to run 4, then I cut it down to 3, and now I'm back down at 2. The card is really, really good. In some matches, it feels insane, but in others, it feels a little lackluster. So it's a 6 cost, 7k power on play. This character is able to, you pitch 1 card out of your hand. Your opponent gets to choose. Either they trash 2 cards from their hand, or they trash a life. They choose. If they trash a life, they lose a life, and 2, you draw a card. Insane. The second effect, your opponent has to discard 2 cards out of hand. When they have 3 or 4 cards in their hand and they have to discard 2, good luck. I don't care if those cards are bricks or just dead in their hand. That's a really big deal. So it really all depends. Obviously, if your opponent has 15 cards in their hand and you play Big Mom, feels a little lackluster, because obviously they're going to be like, I'm going to keep my life and just trash 2 out of my hand. I don't need these cards. I still got like 10. No big deal. Which is the main reason why I'm running 2 copies. Regardless, great card. It hits, unfortunately. It's really bad against 9 Mom, but you know, whatever. We're not going to talk about that right now. We have 4 copies of 6 cost Jozu, 7,000 power. This card is insane. 6 cost character to bounce. Can we talk about it? And we talked about a little earlier about Kaya, right? So what's really nice about Jozu is that we're able to bounce a 6 cost or lower card back to our opponent's hand. But what's really nice, it doesn't say opponent. It just says in general. So you can bounce your own card as well as your opponent's card, or you can bounce 2 of your own cards, which is really, really good. So for example, let's say early on in the game, I played Kaya's, I played a couple Nojikos, heck, I even threw in a Hiyori, maybe a Zeus. Well, I have all these targets as options on the board, or I only have 2 or only have 1. Well, Jozu allows me to bring those cards back. So on a crazy turn, on 4 Dawn, I can go 7k swing, play Nojiko, bounce something back to their opponent's hand, slowing them down. Next turn, on 6, let's say I don't have a Katakuri, oh no. Nojiko's on the board, your opponent replayed the Cavendish on 5. On 6, you play the Jozu, you bring back Nojiko, and then you bounce back Cavendish. They literally know you have another answer to bounce their Cavendish back to their hand once again. So now they're going to be like, okay, I have to play my 5 or 6 cost character again to only get bounced back by a Nojiko, or like I'm just completely cutting their momentum so hard. So honestly, Nojiko, Jozu, that whole deal is literally game changing. Same thing with Pudding. I've done Pudding and then into Jozu afterwards, and my opponent's like, you're just gonna Pudding me again. Like, this is insane. Same deal goes for Hiyori or Zeus. Like, the cards are insane. And if early on in the game I was really struggling to get some good cycle in my hand and I have a bunch of dead cards, so I had to play out Kaya, well, Jozu brings back Kaya. Like, you have so many different options in this deck. Another great reason why you run Loft. Sometimes you don't have enough bodies, but the 1 cost gets you there sometimes. Sometimes because the thing is with Jozu, you need to bounce something back to your hand, right? Like, you need to bounce. So you have a ton of options to do so. Worst case scenario, you have to bounce your own Shirahoshi. There's nothing else on the board, right? So 4 copies of that, I wouldn't change it. I literally have thought about running different versions of this deck, but I consistently go back to this card because you can make a case that 5 cost characters on your opponent's board are kind of irrelevant, There's not that many 5 costs that are that good, but 6 costs, nah, man, there's no way. There's actually no way. The card's insane. Really, really good. 7K too. That's really strong. Next card is we have 2 copies of Luffy, Monkey D. Luffy, the secret rare, 8 cost character, 8,000 power. It has Rush, which is insane. The card's really, really good. You're able to bounce back a 4 cost when attacking. You pitch a card. You bounce a 4 cost whether on your side or your opponent's side. So plenty of good targets on your side in case your opponent doesn't have any. Or, best case scenario, you're bouncing back one of their blockers. And when you pitch a card to do so, you actually get a Rested Dawn to put onto a leader or character. Zinga, bing, bing, bing. Target number 1 would be Nami. And then target number 2, in case you didn't, Nami already swung or whatever the case may be, you just put it onto Luffy. It becomes a 9k swing. You can do that every single turn. Crazy card. 2 copies. 4, a little too much. I like it at 2. Next card is we have 8 cost Kid. 8 cost Kid's insane. This card is really, really good in the deck. 8 cost, 9k power. On play, you rest the character. Your opponent trashes up the top of their life. What's really, really nice is that when they do so, you normally draw a card, 7 or less, remember? And then end of turn, if your opponent has 2 or less life, you get to cycle 1. So drawing 1, trashing 1 is very strong. And if you have 2 set up on the board, it's really good. Next is we have the 9 cost Mihawk. 9 cost Mihawk is actually my newest adaptation for this deck, the newest ad. Main reason why I like Mihawk is because there's a lot of really good 7 cost characters in the game right now that are really, really annoying. Super annoying. And Mihawk just says, no, you're going to go to the bottom of the deck and I'm never going to see you again. We run 1 copy only because if you really don't want to see it and it's dog in the matchup that you're playing in, like against Bella Betty, what's that card doing? Literally nothing. Literally nothing. But great thing is we get to pitch it off leader effect. Very forgiving. Very, very forgiving, especially at 1 copy, right? So next card is we have Sables. We're running 2 copies of Sables. We get to bounce a 7 cost character to the hand. Now it could be your own character or your opponent's character. 99% of the time it's their character, unless you need some counter in your hand. So what's really great too is the trigger is activate main. For 4 costs, bounce a 7 cost character. What? That's really good. You can catch a lot of your opponents slipping as well with this effect. And then we're also running 3 copies of Red Rock. I had it at 4, and then I had it at 2, and now I have it at 3. Main reason why I have it at 3 is that when you need this card, you really, really need this card. Like, you cannot miss a beat with this card. Matchups like Blackbeard, Shanks, Bonnie, Blue, Purple, Luffy. Literally any matchup, this card's insane, especially for a 6 cost. On 8, you can go Nojigo plus Red Rock, and if cat occurs on the board, you can still swing 6. It's really, really good. Now, I mentioned before that this deck is very, very good. I mentioned that it's also very flexible. There is a lot of really great deck lists out there that you can try that kind of fits your build. Taking a look at a couple other deck lists. Very, very creative by Eggman himself. This is the build that I actually liked the most that he made. Really, really big fan of this list. Supernova based. So you have a lot of those searchers from, obviously Beige and Luffy that find you the supernovas. The Law, Robin's really awesome because you can search it off of Luffy. A lot of really good stuff, honestly. Red Rock being searchable is kind of crazy as well. He had some pretty crazy lists too, like running like 9 cost Sanji in there as well. But I like this version the most out of all the other versions that he did. I'm not a fan of the 6 cost Law. I don't think you need this card. I understand what it's trying to do with the hand management, but it's okay. I think it's all right. I'd rather play something else other than this card. Like this is taking out my Jozu slot, and I do like how it's searchable though. That's pretty solid. Jozu is not searchable. Speaking of my list, 0 searches. This deck does not search because I'm trying to draw. and Eggman does both, which is really good. That's one version of his list. An older version that he had was actually, I'm sorry, the newest version that he has is the one where he's actually able to use the 2-cost Luffy's to go into becoming potentially a 7k lead on your turn and then 9k on your opponent's turn. So really, really strong stuff. I think it's cool. But I think this is just a little bit better in my opinion. So we are going to be talking about my list. These are the matchups. So my list. We're going to be talking about the matchups that I feel and how it is into the meta, right? So we have a +2 at the very top. That's a really good matchup for Nami. +1. It's a good matchup. It's pretty good. It's not like real good, but it's pretty good. Even, of course, is even. -1 is kind of bad. If I'm sitting next to it kind of bad, I'm like, okay, we can do this. I swear we can do this. -2, oh, it's god bad. It's real bad. It's really, really bad. We're gonna get into why it's really, really bad. It's real bad. Last tier we have is not sure. My bad. I haven't tested any of these matchups yet. I think they are semi-popular. Okay, let's talk about the really good matchups first. The +2s. The reasons why you're playing this deck, right? I have tested against these matchups. I have played against a lot of these decks in the +2 and the majority of the +1. Get into that. So Nami against Nami is actually favored Nami. Main reason why is because if you just don't attack and you just kind of let them burn through, they just have a ton of cards in their hand. You have cards like Pudding, and then you also have cards like like Jozu to bounce them back. Obviously, if they go like peel off, Kaya, you might have a hard time. And then toward the end of the game, you have cards like A-Cost Kid to just burn their life so that they don't get any triggers, which is insane. I haven't lost to a Nami yet, honestly, but I also don't test Monday through Friday with Adam, so that could be a whole different thing. But for the most part, I think it's like an insanely good matchup for Blue Yellow Nami. Next is Bonnie, actually a really big contender right now for one of the best decks in the meta right now, and that's mainly because of the anti Luffy deck that it is. This matchup is insanely good. Because of cards like Nojiko, Zeus, Pudding, Jozu, Monkey D. Luffy, A-Cost Kid, and Red Rock, it is really, really hard for your opponent to keep up with Nami. It's like, it feels like an auto win, honestly. If I sit across from a Bonnie player, I'm starting to feel bad for them. I'm like, damn, I'm so sorry. Next deck, you just cut their momentum. Bonnie is a very slow deck that loses to even slower decks, if that makes sense, right? So, especially when my deck literally answers every card, and you're like, wait, hold on, Wizard, we have Tashigi. Literally going Tashigi into Zeus onto a Cavendish, what are you gonna do? Like, I'm sorry, Nojiko into Zeus on a Cavendish, what are you gonna do? Like, you're constantly destroying them. And then if you don't want to spend on the Zeus, you can play a Jozu, or you can literally go double Nojiko, and then when you play out a Jozu, you can bounce back one of the Nojikos. It's a really bad matchup. Next we have Shanks. Shanks is another one. It's a very tall deck. A lot of 5-cost characters, Nojiko, Red Rock, Pudding. Literally, it's really, really good against it. Also, 7k lead is really important too. Same thing with Bonnie. Your opponent's never going to be able to attack really early to mid game. 7k is really, really strong. Smoker is another one. Smoker has really great removal, which is fantastic, and it has a cost kid, but you still have all the cards to bounce back. So if you're able to, if they don't see Smoker and Tashigi on 5, you just like auto win. And if they do find that and you're able to go Nojiko into Zeus, your opponent just like folds. Next is, I'm gonna talk about Luffy first. Red purple Luffy, really good matchup. Same deal, very tall. This one's a little different because it can get really aggressive really fast, but for the most part, your opponent's like very happy that they're 6K, and then they get really sad that you're a 7K leader. So that kind of sucks for them. Next is purple and blue Luffy. Now I might get a lot of trash for this, but I have an insanely good record against blue purple Luffy. I have done really good against all blue purple Luffys that I faced against. Same deal. You just have a ton of tools to really help you against the matchup. Like, as soon as they go into some of their characters, like, let me see here. As soon as they go into some of the characters, like, 3 costs, like their early 3 cost Zoro Juros and things like that nature, you're able to do a lot, right? So like even in this matchup against Tap that I played against here, that is currently on my YouTube channel. Shout out to the Titus Matt. It's not Titus, it's Titus. I will take that to the grave. We have a lot of really great options, and what's really nice is that early on, first 2 turns, I can get very aggressive, and then I just slowly work my opponent. Like, and then at a certain point, pudding just does all the damage. Big bodies all get removed. Now, obviously, I think if Luffy just high rolls out of this world, triple Sanji into blah blah blah, like, okay, yeah, maybe you got it, right? But overall, it's a really good matchup. Like, it's a very good matchup. Next, Red Rock, Sables. Really good. Next we have is Newgate. Shout out to JCM for making this deck relevant. Let it go, man. The boy already died in the anime. Can he just die in the card game too? I'm sorry. It's good. A lot of 5 cost characters, a lot of 7 cost characters. 6K lead, 7K against a 7K lead. That's also very important. Pudding is very good against this deck. We also run a ton of little blockers. They also run a ton of removal, low end removal. Hello. Very good. Next is Luffy. Now, Luffy just kind of crumbles to pudding. Very big hand size, very early on. If they see an insane hand, they don't run stage like green purple Luffy does, so they can bump up the cost of their characters. Nojiko, banger of a card. Red Rock, banger of a card. Sables, banger of a card. So there's just a lot of things that really destroy this deck, and I think for the most part it does really good against it, which is why it's a +1 matchup. Unfortunately, there are times when they can really high roll you don't see your pieces, and because we don't run any searchers, you just kind of dead draw sometimes, so that could be an issue. Katakuri, kind of the same. It's a slower version of Luffy. I'm not a big fan of this deck regardless, so anyways, let's talk about the even matchups. Now these are really important. Obviously we have green purple Luffy, the most consistent deck in the game. It's even. There are some matches where you get blown out of the water, and there's some matches where you feel like you're a king against the Pirate King himself. So really all depends. Same deal as all the other things. You just kind of play to what the deck wants to do. Slow down your opponent. You play your top end. 6 cost Linlin is insane in this matchup, as well as Jozu. Funny enough, Mihawk really good in this matchup as well. Really good. Next is Bella Betty. Very relevant matchup. It's pretty even. If they see the nuts, you just kind of go home, pack it up. Which I think honestly is against every matchup other than like maybe like a Nell or something like that. But for the most part, it's really even, which is really good. You have cards like it costs Luffy to bounce back all other 4 cost characters for the late game. So as soon as you make it out of the mud in the early first 4 turns, then you can actually really get things going with your top end. So next is we have Yamato. I don't think I really need to spend too much time talking about this matchup. I still think it's favored, or it's even against Blue Yellow Nami. It's really good. It's a really good deck, but like I said, I think it's even. Rob Lucci is an interesting one. With the addition of 10 costs Kuzan, bruh. You gotta make things. Why don't they just let it go, bro? Like, how many times does a deck need to be hit in order for it to just be gone? Oh gosh. Oh geez Louise. Come on, man. With the addition of 10 cost Kuzan, the matchup can get kind of rough. But they need to see it. 2, they need to be pretty ahead so that you can't red rock them, because you have red rock. So you have answers to the deck. Sure, Hoshi is a huge help. You can't get rid of that card. If they do, you heal. Same thing with the Kikunojo. Kikunojo is insanely good in that matchup. Very, very sticky bodies. Unfortunately, 6 cost Linlin, not so sticky. 5 cost Katakuri goes away. Jozu goes away. Kid allows you to get that -1 life, and then it's just gone, which is fantastic. You get instant value. Same thing with like Linlin too. But Katakuri, I mean, I guess you get instant value, but it's just, yeah, you get the Dawn. Next is we have Luffy. Tall bumps the cost of its characters. It can get really unfortunate, really bad. Sengoku is a son of a gun. That card is really good. That's a 7 cost. The blocker, like the AK blocker or something like that. We have Teach. Teach just allows us to say, hey, you like on plays? On play. That's when attacking. This card's really good against that deck. On play, no on plays. Why? I just want to play the game. So yeah, that's that. It can get kind of bad. At the same time, if you see your Luffys, you can rush them down. You can get pretty aggressive. You go wide. It's not that bad, but it can be kind of bad. Real bad. As I close up this video, real bad. This is we in the mud in this one, guys. This is really bad. I know what you're thinking, Wizard. These are 2 really popular decks. Yes, they are. What's the issue? Purple Black Luffy. Really good card. Really good deck. Very, very aggressive. On turn 6, on like 6 Dawn, they're swinging like 3 7Ks. How? How is this possible? Yes, your leader plus 1 card makes them an 8K for like 1 card out of my hand with Nami is 7K plus 1 card that makes them 8 9K. They swing 7 3 times. I'm losing 4 or 5 cards out of my hand. It's annoying. It's really, really annoying. That deck is really hard to deal with. And the boost and all the costs of the characters, main reason why we're running cards like Sables, Mihawk, Beer Luffy is annoying. Putting it back to your hand so they don't swing an additional 7K is very relevant. We kind of slow that game down as slow as possible. We need to. Buggy, I'm gonna tell you right now. This is my issue with Buggy. Okay, I was very happy for the deck to come back. I'm like, oh, Buggy's awesome. I love Buggy. Don't we all, guys? Don't we all love? This card is mean. It's unfair. On play, draw 2 cards, trash 1 card. Cool. Then play up to 1 cross guild type character with a cost of 4 or less from your hand. Okay, free body, sure. Cycle, sure. Once per turn, this is where it gets bad, guys. Get ready. If your cross guild type character would be removed from the field by your opponent's effect, you may trash 1 card from your hand instead. Once per turn. Let me show you something. Okay, protection, right? Zeus, useless. Jozu, useless. Luffy, useless. Mihawk, useless. Sables, Red Rock, useless. Dude, I literally the other day I was playing against a Buggy and I was like, I got the perfect idea. I'm gonna use Nojigo, bounce a 5 cost, then psych him out, play Jozu, bounce another character, or play Sables. So literally on 6 Dawn, I go Nojigo, Sables, and they're like, I play Nojigo, and instead of protecting it, he let it go back to his hand. Guys, this card is once per turn. It doesn't matter when they use it. They can literally skip that first effect to save it possibly in the future. And I was like, dude, how did you have the foresight to do that? And he's like, oh, I forgot about that effect. Oh my god. That literally, that card just screws everything up in that matchup. And they always have it. The deck draws like 20 cards a turn. What are we talking about here? So, anyways, that solely that reason, the match was bad. Tail end of the deck too, of the game, they start throwing a whole bunch of bodies. You have to go aggressive. You have to remove as much as they can. That's pretty much it, honestly. You could make an argument to being it right here. Honestly, you could. You really, really could. But I think for the most part, it should live right here. Anyways, guys, this is the deck list. Let me know what you think. Test it, play it out. Tell me how terrible it is. Please, I want to know. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for me today. Thank you guys so much for checking out this channel, this video. I really do appreciate it. And stay tuned because I have a ton of new One Piece content coming out soon. See ya.